Good morning, guys. It is week 194 here on the homestead. 194 weeks ago, I gave up everything, moved to Bulgaria, started my own homestead. So let's see what we've been up to since then. Hey then guys, how you going? Now this week, snow has finally arrived here in Bulgaria. Well, here in my part of Bulgaria. A few of you might know this, but I don't actually really like hot weather, which is one of the reasons I moved to Bulgaria in the first place, because I assumed that it was a cold country. Now, during the winter, the temperatures where I live go down to between -12 and -15, but in the summer they're up in the 40s. We do hit 38 regularly, and I've seen the temperature go as high as 39 and just brush 40 degrees Celsius. So it is actually a very hot and a very cold country. But during the winter, I always look forward to the first snowfall of the season. It usually happens around November 5th, which is when I plant my garlic. This year, someone annoyed the sky rooster and we haven't had any snow. But today is the first day where we have snow falling. I don't think it's going to last. It's not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be able to get the snowboard out, but we have got snow. So it is a fantastic week for me. But anyway, guys, I'll show you what else I haven't been up to around the homestead. The book's coming along great. I've had to start culling some roosters. I've needed to. And yeah, I'll show you everything else. But whatever you guys have been up to, I hope you've had a fantastic week. I hope it is snowing where you are, and I hope you're enjoying life. Oh, and just before I go, the Bulgarian word for snow is snek. And the Bulgarian word for snowing is also snek, some reason. But anyway, guys, enjoy yourselves, and I'll talk to you again soon. Hey guys, how you going? So this time of year, as I've said, I'm not doing a lot. I'm doing mostly my writing. So what I thought I'd do is take you through my process, how I write, and what I write. But it'll also show you how anyone can write a book, because I truly believe it is actually quite easy and can be accomplished between 60 and 80 days. I'm not saying writing a good book, I'm just saying writing a book. Now, to write a book between 60 to 80 days, you need to be writing 1,500 words a day. And to do that, well, you need to be writing between 1,000 and 2,000 words a day. And to do that, I find it easiest to have a plan. So what I do is I lay my plan out. Now, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, obviously. And what I do is separate that out even further into a beginning of a beginning, the middle of the beginning, and the end of the beginning. For all of it. So we're already into what looks like a 3-act structure. So Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And we've got we've still got the beginning of the beginning, and to know where you are in the story, you have to have an idea of what's going to happen in Act 1, what's going to happen in Act 2, what's going to happen in Act 3. Then we take that, we're going to just look at Act 1. But this is the same for Act 2 and Act 3 as well. And we're going to break Act 1 down into its 3 sections, and then put 5 points in between for each section. So Act 1 is going to be 15 chapters long, split up into the beginning, the introduction, 5 chapters, the middle, which is the inciting incident, 5 chapters, and the end of Act 1 is the payoff for what's happened in Act 1, and that's going to be comprised of 5 chapters. So once you've got that set up, just a simple outline, and you know what your introduction is, your inciting incident, and your payoff is going to be. Now I'm going to use the example of a love story set in space, as we can continue. So once again, we are Act 1, Introduction, and 1.1, so the first section, the first 5 chapters, is the main character's introduction. So we're going to introduce our main character, Bob. He's in school, and it's the end of the year. So chapter 1, 1,500 years about Bob's last day in school. You might recognise that from the start of Sophie. It's the last day of school for her as well. But since this is a romance, in chapter 2, we're going to introduce Mary. After school, she meets Bob and his dog. Then chapter 3,
they're going to go to they're going to decide to start spend their summer holidays together. They figure out they live near each other. They decide to spend their summer holidays together. They decide to go to a water park. They share their first kiss. So we've already got, between 10,000, 7,500 and 10,000 words. If you do 2,000 words for each chapter, written very easily. So then we move on to the inciting incident. In Act 1, Mary's now grown up, so it's her point of view, and she's looking back over what happened. She's remembering the first kiss. That gives you a nice flow, and it doesn't end up looking like a slideshow, like here we are, here we are, here we are. This way, Mary is giving the point of view from now. So I've added in Mary point of view in pink, and I'll add all directions in different colours as we continue. So then the inciting incident and the payoff is that they get married. So the inciting incident is that they get engaged, so we'll stick that in the middle of there, and Mary has grown up. Now it's fine to have some of this filled in, so as you can see I've put gaps in. The first one I filled out completely, but the second section I've left gaps. So when we get to writing here, we can look and say, okay, so in chapter 1 of 1.2, Mary has grown up and she's looking back on the first kiss, and we introduce her point of view. And in chapter 3, they get engaged. So what could happen in chapter 2 of this part that takes us from Mary being grown up to getting engaged? Well, maybe Mary, I was a D grade English student, so I correct everything afterwards. Mary is prego. So Mary gets pregnant, then she gets engaged. The payoff to all of this, once we've filled this out, is that they get married. So as the couple get married, we can fill in all of these steps towards the marriage, and the marriage is done. Now, that's a very quick romance story. You got kids at school, they spend the summer together, they grow up, they get together, they get pregnant, they get married. So what's going to happen in the rest of the book? Well, Act 2, we have a conflict. So we need something to take them away from the inciting incident and what's happened already. So let's have a war, and we go over to Bob gets drafted into the space war with his space lasers, and we do exactly the same thing for Act 2. I'd remove Mary from the story at this point completely, and then bring her back in Act 3. Now in Act 3 you've got the resolution to the whole story. Bob's going to return, but Mary has moved on. So in Act 3, we break that down into the 3 sections, the beginning, middle, end of Act 3. Bob finishes the war. In Act 2, Bob's journeys home. So Bob journeys home. And you can have all sorts of things happen on how he finishes the war, make political statements, do whatever you want. As he gets home, it turns out Mary is married to the bad guy because his home nation was conquered while he was away, his home planet, and Mary is now engaged to some bad guy. And so the end of that story would be that Bob returns home after spending 2/3 of the book away from his childhood sweetheart. She didn't know that he was still alive. Communication lines were cut, the war, whatever. You add all this stuff in later. But if you do get stuck, then when you're doing the plan, then just start writing. You've got the first section set up before you start, really. But then as you add in all these other sections, these couple of gaps here, after they get engaged, you could have tell friends and parents. Now the way that I think this works best is that once you've got these chapter titles, each one of them is only a 1,500, 2,000 word short story, and all you have to do is take it from where they were to where they're going inside that story, and it pretty much writes itself, which is why I say it's easy to write a book. Not saying write a good book, But it is easy to write a book. So if you have a story that's really nagging at you that you want to write, this is how I do it. There are other ways, but yeah, I thought you might find that interesting. Sorry, it's been a bit of a long video. I hope you guys are enjoying whatever you get up to. I'm now halfway with Slaves of the Basilisk, so that should be coming out in a few months. I'll be submitting it to 2 publishing houses before I self-publish. But in doing so, I've designed my new cover. Here it is. Let me know what you think. And if you have any questions about my writing process or character development or any of that stuff, please let me know. Drop it in the below. I'm not an authority. I was a D-grade English student. This is how I do it. This is how I plan stuff and how I work from a plan. So if you'd like to know about my methods, then please feel free to ask. And of course, don't stick to the plan. It changes all the time. Always leave gaps so you can add stuff in, and don't be afraid to change it. But have a fantastic week. I will of course talk to you soon. So yeah, have a good one. Oh, and don't forget, my first book, Sophie, has been out for almost a year now. So if you'd like to go and pick yourself up a copy, it is available on Amazon wherever you are in the world. Have a good one.